Okay, it falls with the meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting is provided by sending such notice to the Asbury Park Press, Middletown Patch, Middletown Township Public Schools District website, and posting of such notice at the Augustine Minor Administrative Offices at each elementary, middle, and secondary school in the district. Roll call.
Mrs. Minuis?
Here.
Mrs. Golaski?
Here.
Mr. Soprowski?
Here.
Mrs. Tobacco? Mrs. Torres?
Here.
Mrs. Weinstein?
Here.
Mrs. Wright?
Here.
Mr. Capone? Mr. Avida?
Here. Now I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
We're going to the
Everybody please rise for the pledge. After the pledge, please remain standing for a minute. The district has learned of the recent passing of two former district employees, Joan Biz and Geraldine Kaysen. Joan worked in the payroll department for over 16 years before retiring from her central office position in 2015. Geraldine was an elementary school teacher in the district for over 38 years before retiring from Middletown Village Elementary School in 2005. We extend our deepest sympathy to the Bays and Casey families. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start off with committee reports. Curriculum, Ms. Wright.
All right, good evening, everybody. The curriculum committee met last night, and we had a pretty lengthy agenda, so I will do my best to try and get through it for everyone. So one of the first things that we did was we looked at the curriculum guides that were up for rewriting and review. They're for the adoptions for the 2026-2027 school year. I want to give, again, special thanks to Ms. Merrill, Dr. Cook, and Dr. Kerrigan, who led these curriculum reviews and rewrites, and then actually took a really good, decent amount of time in explaining them to us last night, and were available for us to ask questions. They gave us, like I said, the overview of what the actual process is, and then how they were rewriting these course curriculums that were due to actually align with learning standards. And I have to say that it's pretty impressive once you actually sit down and really see what goes into this process, the amount of work that these three administrators, along with the teachers who are then tasked with actually rewriting these curriculum guides, how much work actually goes into it. So I know, for myself and the rest of the curriculum committee members, we do want to extend a thank you. Because again, this is really just shows the excellence that we have here in the district. We talked about the summer reading program. I think we launched this a couple summers ago. We continue to really think about how to improve the summer reading program, and this is for all levels. This is for elementary, middle, and high school. Dr. Cook did talk about really thinking about, on the secondary level, how to actually have more of a shared experience amongst the students. And I think this is really being stressed for the incoming freshmen, that we are now going to be adopting that one of the two books that the students will be asked to read over the summer will actually be a shared book, so they actually have that shared experience coming in to 9th grade that they can then talk about, obviously, in their classes once they get here. And then there will be an entire list that they can choose their second book from. And this is the same, obviously, like I said, for both elementary and middle as well. So those letters, I think, will be given to the students soon, and then brought home to the parents, because there is the component where the parents are talking, obviously, to their children about what books they want to select for the summer. Everybody's then going to agree and sign the paper, and then move forward with the summer reading once the school year is over. We continue to talk about the kindergarten through third progressive reports, and I believe at this point now, this is going to be really to give more timely performance-related feedback for parents. Mid-trimester progress reports, they will be available through Genesis, and they'll be launched for grades K1, 2, and 3 next year. Sorry, and this will be more of a consistent checkpoint across all elementary schools and reinforces our commitment to communication from the teachers to the parents. All right, so we also talked about the iReady discussion. So I know we as a district, we've been talking a lot about iReady. the past couple months, and also really trying to pay more attention to the time that our students are on screens during the school day. So as we continue to sort of refine what we're going to do, we have been using iReady now as a diagnostic assessment tool for some time, and that will continue for the 2026-2027 school year. It will also be more of a personalized learning platform for grades only 2 through 8. We are also going to, like I said, have more greater limitations on the actual screen time for grades 2 through 8. As we continue to sort of look again at what really is developmentally appropriate with the use of iReady, I think pretty much the committee now agrees that for K through 1, those students will not be using iReady moving forward in the new school year. We are really going to be stressing for K through 1 to go back to more just pencil and paper assessments, along with personalized activities that will be more, I think, appropriate for those grade levels. As we continue to sort of refine this and move this out, there will be more information that we will provide to everybody going forward. Marking period 3, secondary report cards. They are going to be released on Genesis on Thursday, April 23rd. We also just reviewed again the criteria for high honor roll and honor roll as well. Okay, so we also discussed NJSLA administration for all 3 levels. We have those dates that are going to be starting soon. For the high school level, they will be taking NJSLA April 27th through May 1st. Middle school will then start May 4th through May 12th, and elementary school will then begin on May 11th through May 19th. It looks like also for the advanced placement exams for the high school levels, both North and South, they are set to be administered May 4th through May 15th. We have 2 voting agenda items next week that the committee did discuss. There is a new field trip to Washington, D.C. This is Students in High School South Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America who have qualified for the national competition following the award-winning performances at the state level. So they are planning to travel to Washington, D.C. from July 5th to July 11th with their advisor. So that will be on the committee, that will be on the agenda for our review and voting next Tuesday. And there will also be continuing professional development for us to review and vote on next Tuesday as well. We discussed 2 grant applications. The first one, which is one that I am so proud that we started to do a couple years ago because this is making a huge difference for our very early learners. This is, again, to apply for another grant to continue our work with the FOCUS, Funding for Optimal Comprehensive Universal Screeners Grant. This is money that allocates basically for us to be able to use and administer the DIBELS Early Learning Screener for grades K through 3, and then also the continuing professional development for our teachers to be able to really analyze that data that they get from DIBELS and then be able to move forward to have individualized instruction for students. I did read actually the grant application for this is pretty exciting, and if we get awarded, it will be $20,944. We also discussed how the district is conducting its comprehensive local needs assessment in accordance with the Perkins grant, noting that recommendations will be added to the grant application for next year. This funding supports our CTE program, and students have been successful in their internships this year, earning real estate license as well as other credentials to support career success following graduation. We have a new sort of partnership with the College Board, which Dr. Karen was very excited about. It was actually really cute because it was like, he gets to be very, very nerdy about it, but I think it's a great thing to celebrate. This basically is a group that is provided with early access to pilot courses and engages in conversation about product development. So we are now exploring the prospect of piloting AP Business, AP Cybersecurity, and possibly medical CTE. This will actually allow us to start having these programs, which is really exciting. We have our Teacher, Educational Service Provider, and Support Staff of the Year recognition ceremony this Thursday, beginning at 6 o'clock here at the High School North Auditorium, and we know that's going to be really nice. It's always a great celebration of our staff. And last but not least, we've been talking about this for a while to get it on everybody's calendar. So Rob Franick will be coming back, who is the editor-in-chief of the Princeton Review, to basically take us through AP exams and how college boards are now using this in a different way, and to try and actually be able to reach more of our district and parents who will be interested in this. We are going to move this to a virtual platform. So it's still being scheduled for Wednesday, April 29th, beginning at 6:30 p.m., but there will now be a virtual component to it as well. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Facilities, Ms. Minderies.
Okay, I just want everybody to bear with me because I am comparing my notes to the notes that we have on the committee report. The committee met on April 14th, and it was myself, Mrs. Torres, Mrs. Skolaski, and Mr. Soporowski. The committee took a tour of Bayshore space that will be used for elementary classes. There was a discussion amongst the committee members regarding the addition of bathrooms to the kindergarten classrooms. The NJDOE County Office staff has done a walkthrough of the space and slated that the plan for kindergarten bathroom waivers was appropriate. Several kindergarten classrooms across the district receive NJDOE waivers for bathrooms. Members of the committee supported adding bathrooms to these classrooms and want the project included in the 26-27 budget. We also stated, as we were talking about this, is that if this is being considered the state-of-the-art school, then we should be starting out as a state-of-the-art school and put those bathrooms in. We also had concerns about the kindergartners being put on each side of the building and not together. We feel that, for years we've been told if you, group grade levels, it gives teachers better opportunities to work together, and we can include all kids in that grade area. So we're hoping to do that. We were told that, the plan that we had received could change when they get a principal. But that's the plan that we were being told is what was submitted. So we did have much discussion and much concerns about that. And our committee does want bathrooms put in. And I'm sure Mr. Soporowski is gonna jump on that when I'm done. The committee also discussed playground equipment for Bayshore. Members of this committee supported the addition of the purchase of a playground equipment to the 26-27 budget. The playground that's there now is too far away from the building for kids to actually take part in. Plus, we're also, to consider, is we're doubling the amount of kids that would use that playground equipment. So, even if they had to walk to the far side, it's not going to be enough. We need to put a playground there. Do you want to jump in on that now?
Because it's not noted here, but we also discussed adding to New Monmouth to their playground.
Yeah, I was going to do that on the back.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was. Because we talked about them together because those are the buildings that were consolidated. And when we had a meeting with Dr. Alphone as far as the budget and Amy as well, it was brought up that the playground should be amended. New Monmouth PTO has already put in $60,000 of money that they have raised to that playground. It's only appropriate that if we are told that there is money that we could put in the budget this year for Bayshore and New Monmouth for the playgrounds, that we need to get that as a line item to ensure that it happens.
And the reason that topic came up is because the local recreation improvement grant for 2026, New Monmouth did not get that grant. So being that we feel that way, being that we combined the two schools a few years back, we never followed through on the playground, and they deserve that money.
Yes.
They deserve the money to make an inclusive playground for the entire school, and it's been long overdue. So if the money's there, like Dr. Alphone and Mrs. Doherty say, then we should be putting in the budget this year and letting them continue on with what they were going to purchase with that grant money. Okay, let's see. On the April voting agenda, the HVAC bid award, the bid award for the HVAC equipment bid will be on the agenda. Award will be split between two vendors for different types of equipment. And these HVACs are for only if needed, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it's just so that if we need them, we have the access to get them.
They're replacement units if we
Right.
need them.
The long-range facilities plan, major amendment, there will be a resolution on the agenda to approve our architect to submit an amendment to the long-range facilities plan to reflect the closure of Leonardo and Navasink and reassignment of Bay Shore Middle School students to Thorne and Thompson. We had a lengthy discussion on this. We did want to see this plan now so that we could see it before we vote on it, but apparently it's not ready yet. So they're going to come next week and they're going to present it?
I did ask the architect to come to the board meeting next week to walk through the changes.
Okay. And will they be able to compare the changes to what's in the long-range facility plan right now?
We'll craft the presentation so it shows what's been updated.
Okay. Mr. Nazar and Mrs. Doherty reviewed the updates of the capacity information. It just, to me, my personal opinion is, from someone who's been in those schools when there was a lot of kids, those numbers just don't make sense to me. How they're figuring it out, and I don't know actually how they're really getting the actual numbers because we don't know exactly what classes are going in where, and it really does matter square footage on what's in that classroom. So, you know, I can't wait to see how that's going to fall out. I just don't have faith that that's the right numbers, but that's my personal opinion. Yes?
Do you mind if I say something?
No, go ahead.
After our discussions with the capacity, we talked a lot about it. We talked about the science of the capacity numbers, which is what our facilities team does, is that they come up with what the numbers are, and then it's, as it was explained and it made sense, the art of it is what the administration does to design where the kids go and how they fit. So I did follow up asking about the cafeterias at Thorne and Thompson and what was fire code versus what was allowed. Mr. Nasser said fire code is what is deferred to, and the capacity for both is 328 with tables and chairs. And so then I asked for the projected numbers for next year, and 4 out of the 6 lunch periods of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at Thorne and Thompson are over that number, projected for next year. Ms. Doherty replied that they have discussed auxiliary lunch spaces similar to what was at Place in Thompson when their enrollment was higher, but I do not recall that. What I recall was the community notice from Dr. Alphone that said they're offering other places for lunch, such as outside or other classrooms as quiet spaces. And I was hoping that tonight that we could get more information on what those options are and what those plans are for these children to all have space, have lunch, be able to get in and out of that cafeteria in 23 minutes and ensure that this plan, like this is the simple, right? This is the easy numbers that we see. A cafeteria is a cafeteria. So what is the plan for this? Do we have that?
Like I referred my email, we have to work with the principals to identify what spaces will be used for the auxiliary. And we've actually even started talking with the food service management company. And you know, again, when we've done this in the past, we've put additional serving areas also in the auxiliary space, so not everyone would have to come into the cafeteria. They can get food in the other area, but we are still formulating all that. But
Is that in the long-range facilities plan?
I'm sorry?
Is that in the long-range facilities plan?
No.
So where is it?
What do you mean, where is it?
Like where would the plan be? Where can we expect to see this? Where can we have faith that our children in middle school will have the space needed by September?
When the principals and the administration identify the spaces, then we will reflect it.
My other concern is that these quiet spaces are not reserved for the special needs students to separate them from their peers. So that needs to be noted, that those students get to eat lunch with their peers.
Besides, what kids have to go to the
There you
other
go.
room.
Yeah.
Like they used to sit at
The next thing that we discussed was current facility issues. The high school North Varsity baseball field and the equipment master plan. Myself, Mrs. Doherty, and Mr. Nazer toured the high school north field last week after another series of emails of concerns. We met there was a, Mr. Beck was there, who's the field's named after his brother, and we went over some of the concerns of the field. To my remembering, when the last time that field had work was about 20 years ago. When I first got on the board, they did some work on there and it hasn't been touched. It absolutely needs to be fixed. Not only do they use it for baseball, but they play soccer on it. So that field is heavily used and definitely needs to have some work on it. Mr. Nazer said that once we get a new athletic director, he's gonna sit down with them and Mrs. Doherty and they're gonna go over the conditions of our fields. Because if they're playing soccer on that field, what's wrong with the soccer field? You know, it doesn't make sense why we're playing soccer on a baseball field. That doesn't happen at High School South, but it's happening at High School North. So unfortunately, I really wasn't aware of that, and I've been on co-curricular, no one's ever mentioned that. So it's something that we need to do. Maybe we need to go back to what we used to do, where the committee, before every season, tours the fields to make sure that we could see that they're in safe, playable conditions, and we could bring it back to the board on what needs to be done. But it definitely needs to be looked at. And there definitely needs to be some work. We also saw that the parents want to volunteer and they want to help. But what we realize is that everything really does have to go through the district. So we do want their help and we do want their volunteerism, but for insurance purposes, everybody needs to go through the athletic director, the building principal, to Mrs. Doherty's office and get permission to make some of these changes. So if we have a contractor volunteering their time on the property, we need to know that. And Mrs. Doherty needs to know that, not me, but Mrs. Doherty would need to know that, and they can approve it, and insurance-wise, we would be covered. And we're very grateful to the people that want to volunteer and, you know, support fixing these fields, because we obviously can't afford to do it all, but we just need to make sure there's a chain of command on how we do it, and that's with anything that goes on in the district. Thorn, they did an IAQ testing. Do you want to tell us what those?
Indoor air quality.
Indoor air quality testing was performed in response to staff requests at Thorn. The testing did not indicate any issues. All the 2 rooms that they claimed were cleared. The Bayview Field update, the township indicated that the bid awards for this project will be made on May 4th and the work will be done over the summer. Local recreation, we talked about that. New Monmouth did not get that grant, so we're hoping that we can compensate that money to them to continue going on with that playground equipment that they were promised years ago. They don't want the Portland playground equipment. It's been in the ground for many years. I actually have the actual date written down because I was a part of that. And to move it is not safe, and no one really can deem that it is safe. They want to move on with new stuff, safe stuff, and inclusive stuff that's going to make it usable for all students in that building. Utility easement, Verizon, the township attorney has contacted the district regarding an easement for small wireless facilities. Generally, these facility poles are placed in locations that are municipal rights of way. Verizon wants to install one of these poles specifically to serve High School South.
We can't even, people that don't want to do it here either.
We good? I think my report's time, my time's up. Okay. There you go. Okay. No, we're not doing it. There you go. Okay. So usually these poles are located in municipal rights of way. Verizon wants to install one of these poles specifically to serve High School South. The location that Verizon is proposing is on the parking lot island of the High School South parking lot, and we have asked for more information because we are under the impression that some of the people in the neighborhood are not in favor of this. And to push it onto the school might not be the greatest way to do it. Recap from the March committee meeting. We reviewed information presented, responses to Mrs. Torres' list of questions at the last meeting. The information includes facility use by outside groups, facility use revenue, facility use policy and regulations, and champion contract before and after care. We did have a long discussion on what we charge people to use our fields and our buildings, and those prices have not been raised in years, yet organizations charge our parents a lot of money to be a part of these groups. And if we're going to continue doing this, and we need to start fixing our fields and repairing things in our buildings that are getting destroyed, we need to maybe raise the price a little bit, and that has to be discussed with committee and then taken to the board. But it was a monthly discussion, and we haven't done that in many, many years. So it was a worthwhile one. We also had a discussion on busing and transportation, and it came up, and I think that well, Mrs. Doherty, I think that the public needs to hear this. There is consideration of eliminating the Port Monmouth school busing that we put in place when we closed that school. I personally am not in favor of that. I lived in that area. It's not fair that those kids have to walk from Port Monmouth to New Monmouth. If any of you have kids that do that, it's not a safe route to school. We talked about how do we make it a not, how do we get non-safe route for courtesy hazardous busing for them. It's not possible for us to do that. I think it's a big mistake. What we should have done all along was started letting them go to Harmony, because they can walk to Harmony without taking a bus. And to eliminate that bus is just not fair. I know the kids that were in the school when it closed have moved on, but that doesn't make a difference. It's still the same area, it's still the same walking distance, and it's not safe. So, I mean, they're walking down, you have to walk down Wilson Avenue, in front of St. Mary's, all the way down to New Monmouth Road, and then cross over down. It's just not safe. I hope we don't do that. So what I really would like to see, and because we talked about transportation on what the cost would be in the budget for the transportation of closing the schools, and it seems like there might not be an increase, which I really find that hard to believe, because we are busing more kids now with this closure than we have ever bused. I would like to see transportation show us what routes they are eliminating, because is there more than Port Monmouth that we're eliminating that we don't know about? We need to know that, and so do the parents need to know that. So I would like to see us next week before the budget go over what routes have been condensed, what routes are being eliminated, so that everybody knows what's going on there. And I also would like to see a cost, and I know it's kind of early, but we're voting on a budget with transportation costs to close schools that we have no idea what it is. We have no figures. So how do we know we have enough money in the budget? And for years we've been saying we can't get busing for after-school curricular. The other day we had Thursday we have no busing for Bayshore to go to a track meet. How are we guaranteeing all these buses, extra buses, when we can't even get them to support our kids now? That's a question I have, and I would hope some of the board members would have, because we can't be calling parents up every morning and say, oh, sorry, the bus didn't come, it's not available, they didn't have a driver, or whatever the reason is. We need to have concrete information on this transportation part of the budget. Let's see. And I think we also discussed the closure of the two schools. So what happens to Navesink when the school closes, because we don't own that building? Well, we're in the process of looking for the deed and the contract to find out exactly what happens, because we don't have it.
We actually do.
You have it now?
I have it. I was able to find in the files in the
Good.
safe in central office, the documentation which I had shared with our board attorney, the terms of the conveyance of the property, and the details on that. So we do have that.
Okay, so could you tell us what it is?
And, there's not, just to summarize, there's a lot of documents, but it did say, it was back in 1933, the property was conveyed to the district for the purpose of building a school. The caveat was the district had to build a school on that property within 10 years. They did build Navasink, I think it was built opened up in 1941, so they did it within the 10 years. The language referring to, what happens if the property is not open with a school just simply says, if the property is not used as a school, then it would revert back to the trust. I know it's changed a few times during the years. Originally it was, I think, a woman and her, in memory of her husband, and their kids and family gave the land. Then I think it was part of the Navasink Library Trust, and now I think that's merged with the Duryea Foundation. So in any event, it just said the property would revert back if the school wasn't being used to operate a school.
So, and I think our question was that night, because it would go into cost, when we're done, when that building's vacated, do we have to tear it down?
There's no language referring to that, but again, I've referred it to our board attorney as well.
Okay. I'm glad you found it, because we were curious.
And I just, I wanted to follow up, Joan, on your discussion on transportation. Every year we approve the budget before we put out the transportation bids. So we always are awarding them after the budget. So every year we do make our estimate for transportation and budget for that, and we don't, a lot of times we won't get it until June or July. So that's not unusual, and it will be the same this year. We won't have all the bids in before we approve the budget next week. We haven't even put the bids out yet. So to give exact numbers, we wouldn't be able to do that this year. We don't do that any year, but that's why we work through our estimates. As far as the Port Monmouth, we had that discussion because you brought it up. It wasn't really a facilities topic, but you asked. It's just to remind the board, we talk about this every year, that the agreement was to bus the students who were in that Port Monmouth sending zone that were going to New Monmouth, while they were attending New Monmouth. And the fact is, they've all aged out. They're all in middle school or beyond at this point. So it's really just a discussion with the board. It is courtesy busing. The students do not meet the requirement for the mileage. As we talked about, the routes, the roads that they would have to walk on, but we would evaluate it student by student. If it's not something that's listed on our hazardous routes, we would treat that the same as we do all of the students here in Middletown, and they would be walkers. But again, we would have to evaluate each student and what their route is. I can't tell you off the top of my head where all of them are, but they're all in that general area. So they are currently, there's about, I think it's about 54 students at this point. They're students, again, who maybe the family lived there when Port Monmouth closed, and they're younger siblings, but there's a lot of families that moved in and never even attended Port Monmouth, but they've all been put on the bus because that area has been bused. So it's just something the board needs to be aware of. Again, it wouldn't be a vote, we would send out letters to the parents and let them know that the transportation eligibility would be changing. We've done that in the past with other students. Sometimes we discover students who are not eligible for busing, and we notify the parents. It's, up for the board discussion. It's about, we would be able to eliminate one bus route from this, that the students are riding two different routes. They're split between two New Monmouth buses, but we would be able to collapse those two routes into one if we took away the courtesy busing. So that's where we stand.
Well, the difference with that is that there's an elementary school that's a lot less than 2 miles at their fingertips. And no other person that we're saying is in the mileage has that opportunity that they could have walked to another elementary school without being bused. And secondly, about the transportation thing, we have never closed 3 buildings before without getting, we're saying we can wait. It's normal, but we're transporting a lot more kids now because of the closure of buildings and the distance. We should know how much that's going to cost us, especially with what buses have cost us over the last few years.
Well, again, we're not going to know until the bids go out. And when we've discussed this, I have said that we're not anticipating a significant increase.
Right.
I didn't say there wouldn't be no increase. There may be an increase.
Well, we said there's a chance we could break even.
We may have increases on our other routes because if we're putting things out to bid now, if contractors don't want to renew them and they want to put it back out to bid, there may be increases on our other routes as well. So
Do you have
again,
at least-
it's something we're not going to be able to have exact costs on until we finish putting all these out to bid.
If you don't have costs, do you at least have the routes?
We are currently working on, we have routes that are existing now, but we're currently reworking them to accommodate these changes in the school sending zones.
And do the families that you're going to eliminate the courtesy busing for, did they know ahead of time it was courtesy and that there's a chance it could be taken away?
Back in 2020, when Port Monmouth was closed,
The new
you know,
ones.
it was discussed that, you know, the students who were attending at that time were going to be bused, and the intention was never to keep
Right.
it on in perpetuity.
But if a family moved or started kindergarten, first, second, third grade in 2022, they would have no idea.
They may not,
So
we would have to
So I
know,
think,
that's why we have
again,
to know.
what we're dealing with is another communication problem. That these families don't know, and then it turns and looks like we're the ones taking something away when maybe it was intended to be taken away and they didn't know about it. It's a transparency issue to me.
Well, again, like I said, in other years, we've had instances where we've gone through and we've identified students who aren't eligible, and we do notify the parents, you know, in the spring so that there's ample time to adjust for that.
Right, but it's now the end of April, and people have to make plans for September now.
But for me,
Yes,
again,
and that's, you know, it actually was on the finance committee agenda. If the finance committee had met, you know, we ended up talking about it in facilities because Joan asked about it. But, you know, yes, we would have to let them know as soon as possible.
but for me, again, we're making kids walk a longer distance when there's an elementary school right around the corner. That is no other situation in this township that's happening to. So it's not fair. Amy, would it be possible for the entire board to get a copy of the Navasink contract? The deed?
The deed,
Yeah.
I guess I can share that. I mean, I don't know that.
I think people are asking, so I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, I assume so. I mean, I'll check with our board attorney. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to do that, share it with the board, so.
Mhm. Okay. Mark, you want to-
Yeah, I just want to speak on something with the bathrooms. It was something that we brought up. It was Erin, Joan, Deb, and I in a small meeting with,
No, Ken.
no, she wasn't there. I'm talking about the meeting, budget meeting.
Oh, the budget.
We brought it up about some of the items that were in the budget and perhaps replacing it with doing sinks in the first and second grade rooms and bathrooms in the kindergarten rooms. When we got into Bayshore, then at the facilities committee meeting, found out there's actually sinks in every single room in Bayshore, which is kind of a nice addition for all the classrooms. Which then when we got looking at where the kindergarten rooms are going to be, there's sinks there, there's plumbing, there's running water, there's sewer lines, maybe some modifications would have to be done to the sewer lines. But the amount of work, the scope of work was significantly less than we had originally discussed. So my thing is that I think this is something that needs to get started immediately in terms of planning, because there's a lot of planning and engineering that has to take place to put bathrooms in and permitting and things like that. And I think that that is a priority item that we should get on right away, so that on June 23rd, during their cutting the floor up and getting it ready, so that.
So I did reach out to our architect after the facilities meeting to ask him to put together a proposal to give us a scope of work. They would have to develop, you know, they would have to look at it and see what the scope of work is, and if we were going to eventually do these projects and put them out to bid, they would write the bid specs, and more importantly, I'd be looking for some sort of cost estimate, because right now we don't have that. As we talked about in the facilities meeting, you know, we could do this if the board decides they want to add these projects to the budget. We could do it that way and come up with, I won't have firm cost estimates from the architect by next week when we approve the budget, so we could develop our own estimate and put a placeholder, for lack of a better word, in the budget to put the project in with a dollar amount that may or may not be sufficient, but if it ends up not being sufficient, we would have to address that with reserves or whatnot. If you don't put it in the budget, we discussed that too, that the board does have the prerogative. You know, we can do things that may not necessarily be itemized in the budget if the board votes to approve that and we withdraw the money from the reserves. You know, we have put money in this budget to deposit into reserves, so there is money put aside. And the same with we discussed the same with the playgrounds. You know, we can either put an amount in there that the board wants to list in the budget to spend on playgrounds, or we can wait until we get cost estimates of exactly what we want done and then go from there. So those are the two ways you can approach it.
I just think that the public would like to see that it's going to be done, that there's proof that it's going to be done and it's going to be ready for September.
So we just need to understand that whatever estimates we put in, you know, we may need to adjust those when we get the actual cost.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I've done some homework on it, and a high estimate per bathroom was about $16,000. And that was assuming that there was no plumbing there already.
Well, that, I can't tell you, I don't think that that's going, I think it's going to be more than that, and then we also have to pay for the architect fees and so forth. But, you know, again, I asked him to work on it, and he said he would at least have a proposal to do this work, you know, for us this week.
Good.
Yeah.
And will you share that as soon as we get it?
I'm sorry?
Will you be able to share that with everybody?
I can, and if it's something that doesn't.
Just so we have an
need to be-
idea.
If it's below, you know, the threshold for a voting item, we can, you know, we can go ahead and move ahead even if we don't get it on the board meeting.
Mhm.
You know, we can authorize
Yeah,
that.
just to
But
have an idea of
it's
what-
the board needs to come to a consensus whether they want this itemized, I mean, that's the bottom line, itemized in the budget or not. And we could put estimates in there as placeholders like we did, you know, we talked about the annex. You know, we put money in there for the annex. We ended up, you know, having to spend more than what was in the budget, but, you know, that happens with projects sometimes, so.
And then another thing that we discussed in facilities, just that it's kind of minutia a little bit, but there's a lot of different things around Bay Shore that punch list items that are going to need to get done. Trophy cases, wall art, things like that. Is there any kind of a list going for when these projects are going to be done? Where are the trophies and jerseys that are hanging on the wall? Are they going to stay there? Are they moving? I mean, these are all
There's
questions.
a lot of
that-
history in that building. That's
There is, and especially walking through there and seeing it, it's like, well, how is this going to get? Is there a plan for that?
I think it's important for the building administration to get in place for the new elementary school to help shape what direction that goes in.
But I
But
think
of
for
course,
the-
we'll address things that need to be addressed.
I think for the middle school kids, the trophies and stuff that belong to them, they're going to another middle school that doesn't have any representation from where they came from and the things that they've earned and their awards. There's got to be some kind of plan now.
Again,
And we would have to make room in those middle schools for this.
you know, these things are, again, normally building level decisions, and I'm sure the principals will be addressing all of that.
I do have to say, a big concern that I have is that almost everything that we brought up gets pushed down to the building principals. But we don't know who they are. We know who Thorne and Thompson is, but we don't know who any of the others are. And now you're expecting these people to, in 2 months, come up with their class lists, do all of the regular things that you have to do to get ready for school, and figure out where trophy cases are going? Like, who's helping these building principals guide this?
Of course, the district administration supports the principals,
Then
absolutely.
how do we get this, like, I would love to see something from our central office administrators being supported by the building principals of what their ideas are, because all we have been hearing right now is the principals, the administrators have to do this when we get it set. We have to do this when the staff gets set. We don't have any of this information, and quite frankly, we're running out of time.
And trophy cases was just an example, because there's
Right.
so many things. That's just it's almost a joke of an example.
And I
because
think
there's
that's,
a lot of
honestly,
items that are-
every time we talk about these things, it gets pushed off. And our job as board is to set policy and decide what direction. Not only are we setting conflicting direction, but we're also not seeing this picture of how this is going to work. And it's very concerning.
Our kids are going to be going for tours in these schools, and there's nothing there that represents them. That, to me, I'm more like kids oriented,
And the kids are
You're
getting,
gonna walk into a building and see that the building that you're in, everything that they've earned, but where's all the stuff that you came from for the last 3 years, for the last 2 years, because we're talking about 7th and 8th graders going up. There's no representation, and that might be a minor thing to a lot of people, but to kids, we have a great community that takes pride in all their schools. And they take pride in everything they do, and we're sending them into buildings with no plans of taking part of what they've earned with them.
and those are the kids that we're talking about. We're not even talking about the staff that's being pulled and sent to a million different directions.
That's why we needed a plan.
We can still create one, just saying, there's still time.
Okay, that's the end of my committee, I think. Time's up well over.
Thank you, Ms. Muniz. Finance, the committee was unable to meet on the time we had due to conflicts in schedule, so instead of the actual committee meeting, Ms. Doherty updated me on the agenda items, and we agreed that we just have discussion here at the workshop tonight. So I'll go through the items, and if anybody has any comments or questions.
Do you have an agenda?
Jump in.
Do you have an agenda for it?
We don't have an agenda.
We didn't do a committee report because it wasn't a committee
Right,
meeting.
but do we
but-
have the agenda?
I mean, I have. I don't have an extra copy. Again, we didn't do a committee report because we didn't have a committee agenda. But what we can do is, after we review this, I can and if there's anything that we need to update, we'll just post it in the portal. Did you?
What?
You have a copy of what we discussed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The April meeting agenda items, the 2026-2027 final budget adoption. Tentative budget was approved by the NJDOE County Office. Ms. Doherty shared that the Facilities Committee was looking for the addition of the kindergarten bathrooms at Bay Shore and playground equipment for Bay Shore, and possibly new design items that was just discussed as well through facilities. There's also a shared services agreement. The township has requested that the board formally renew these agreements for the current term. The agreements have been in place for several years, specifically with respect to our garbage and recycling and our fuel dispensing. Another item on the agenda is the Chromebook refresh, approval for the purchase of 1,560 new Chromebooks at a cost of $590,803. Purchase is included in the 26-27 budget.
I just want to explain that we are on a replacement cycle on those, so we as they age out, we replace each year. I mean, I'm sure the board's familiar with that, but in case they're not. So we don't buy all new Chromebooks every year. We have a replacement cycle.
We also have health insurance renewals. Stock loss is going to be about plus 4.5% over the current. The ISL deductible raised to $300,000 versus $275,000. Contract improved to a 1218 versus a current 1215 contract that we have now. The insurer is Prudential and it's rated A+. We have a renewal with Delta Dental. There's no increase due to the 24-month rate lock. And we're also extending voluntary benefits, legal, accident, and ID theft insurance that will be offered to our staff, and there'll be no cost to the district. The district currently offers disability and vision voluntary plans.
Mr. Avita, I'm sorry, can you tell me the 12-8 versus, 12-18 versus 12-15, what does that mean?
So our current contract is a 12-15, which means the stop loss policy covers claims that are incurred for a 12-month period but paid out over a 15-month period. The contract we are going to be getting for next year will extend that 15 months to an 18-month period, so it's better for the district.
When are we gonna have, we usually have our health insurance brokers come in and give the board a whole presentation. We haven't had that in a couple of years. I think we really need to do that, because we always talked about things that we could change. You know, they would give us the whole board an update so everybody knows what's going on. We haven't had that in some time.
We've done it with the finance committee.
Yeah, but we haven't done it with the whole board in a long
What was the
time.
increase on the state benefits plan this year?
The state, well, I mean, we're not in that.
No, I know we're not in it,
It
but-
was, 32,
Yeah,
33%,
so-
something along those lines.
But still, to have them come in and
Yeah.
inform the board of what we're getting, how we're getting it, our stop, talk about our stop loss, how do we do this year compared to last year, we don't have any of that information.
I mean, we can
I
have.
think we need to have them in
Okay,
to inform the whole board on where we stand
okay.
and why it's costing us what it's costing us. So will you arrange that, Mr. Avita?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, actually, I'm going to arrange it.
Oh, well,
She's
I
gonna, Amy will arrange it, but I'm just right.
I mean, we'll target, perhaps we have a few things going on at next week's meeting. I don't know that they'd be available that quick, but we could target the May meeting.
Yeah, because we have to renew contracts soon too, right?
What's that?
Don't we renew contracts soon too for these companies?
Oh, you mean the professionals?
Professionals.
Yeah, the professionals, so I would
Yes,
like
that's
to have
usually
it
on
before
for the
then.
May, that's actually on the May meeting.
I would like to do this before then.
Well, okay, I don't know if we have a workshop in May, but we'll work it out.
We have to rehire and then.
We have to rehire.
Yeah, we don't-
Voting is combined.
Okay, so,
We'll have to do that. The Teamsters memorandum of agreements for facilities and paraprofessionals, the units have ratified. The district now is just waiting to receive the agreements so that the board can consider them for approval. Hopefully, we'll be doing that at the meeting next week.
Mr. Reed, I'm not sure, I might have missed it with the other conversation, but I don't know if you mentioned that we have a placeholder for the mental health services contract award.
Did I miss that?
It was written below where we talked about health insurance, but we do have a placeholder on that. We had an RFP go out for mental health services, and we are evaluating the responses, and there will be an award on next week's agenda. And it's a competitive contract, so it's one of those processes where we put up an evaluation report and along with the award on the agenda. So.
Don't we have mental health in place now?
Well, currently, we have, that's the services we currently ending at ESS. So we were at the end of our 5-year period that we could renew their contract. So we went out for another competitive process. So we have to put a report together with the results and score them on the rubric and make the award. So
Thank you, Mr.
it is in the budget for next year too.
Yeah. Health benefits for 25-26, the expenses are running about $1 million over budget currently. The offsets by the increased rebates are helping. So the June 30th outlook, district will have the funds available to replenish its fund balance to the 2% level that the MJDOE county office required the district to commit to last year as a condition of budget approval.
And we're getting that money from rebate? I couldn't hear what you were saying about that.
So we were just saying, we monitor the health benefits throughout the year. At this snapshot in time, we are running roughly $1 million over what we had budgeted last year for health benefits. We have 3 months, essentially, well, 2.5 left in the year. So, that will likely change, but we basically monitor it every day. So we keep track and look at what the projections will be. But, right now it's running, roughly $1 million more than what we budgeted. But again, that could change. But I do want to emphasize that we have gotten a better rebate program this year. Our rebates have increased significantly, which has helped to offset some of these increases in claims. Claims are being driven mostly by prescription. It's the same in a lot of places. Our medical claims are actually pretty steady. It's the prescription costs that are really driving increases in everybody's plans.
So we're just taking the money out of the budget to replace.
No, I'm saying the rebates come back in and offset the payments that we have to make on claims. So that has helped defray some of the increases in the prescription. Yeah.
That's the cost.
I have a question. Did we get any update on the shared services on the class 3 officers? Because I know we were supposed to have a shared service. There was supposed to be a shared service meeting on the 13th. That got canceled.
I thought I saw an email right before this meeting that the township is proposing next Wednesday. So I read it quickly when we.
That's after the budget meeting.
I'm sorry?
That's after the budget meeting.
Yeah, that was I haven't answered, I just read it, we haven't,
I mean, I think,
nobody's discussed it.
is that a key component to the budget?
Well, we have class 3 officers budgeted in the budget at the full cost, because at this point, we don't know anything different.
And we don't know what it's going to be different with the school closings either.
We did factor in a reduction for the 2 buildings that wouldn't be open. So we did.
So are we actively negotiating this, or is it just take it or leave it?
I wasn't at the last
The last
shared
meeting, I
services
think they said
meeting, so.
the chief was working on it, so I haven't heard.
Right, that's why did we cancel the shared service meeting on the 13th?
There was conflicts with the date. We tried to reschedule and we just waited. I think Amy said we just got a new date today. So.
I had made myself available. I know, I was told that you were the one that was unavailable, and I had made myself available. I sent you an email on the 9th that I was available.
I think the email already went out and Dr. Alphone mentioned that she wasn't going to be available either.
But Ms.
So
Doherty said she was
and
available.
To that point, Mr. Soprowski, I did say the last time, when you can make it, I don't have any problem with anybody sitting there.
I just think that was a really important thing that should have been finalized before this budget.
Duly noted.
I mean, that doesn't move us forward.
Noted.
So is there anything we could do between now and next Tuesday to get working on this? So we have an answer for next Tuesday? And we reach out tomorrow morning and...
Again, I
I
read the
can't.
email
I'm not gonna
just a
reach out.
little while ago. I haven't responded or.
I have all the emails. I reached out, I think, 6 times in the last week. And we finally got this today. So are we set to meet on Wednesday, the 29th at 5? Can I reply right now? Can we commit?
You'd have to ask all the members of the committee. I don't know what everybody's
So,
available.
well, at least if we get 3 or 4 of us there that can commit as backups too.
I could commit.
I will commit.
Sure.
Are you available that day?
Oh, I don't remember the time. Was Wednesday the 29th?
Wednesday the
And we have to
29th
check
at
with
5.
Dr. Alphone as well, because
Okay.
she's going to be there as well.
Well, if she can't, perhaps she could send in
No, I'm
somebody else from administration.
I am available on the 29th.
You are?
Yes.
You're,
Yeah, I'll do it
You're
at
okay?
5 o'clock, yeah.
5? Okay.
Is it 5 o'clock?
I'll reply right now for all of us.
That's what Erin said on the email.
Oh, okay.
If Mr. Capone's not available, I can sit in.
As of now, I'm available.
Thank you.
Okay, so. Okay, and then the last item that we discussed was the new Monmouth courtesy busing, which we just went over through facilities in detail. That's it for.
Can I ask a couple of questions for finance? Is this where you would talk about money into charter schools?
Money for what?
Charter schools in the budget?
Charter schools,
Yeah.
we do budget for, the state gives us a notice that says what the tuition is for students from Middletown, and we do budget for that in the budget.
Okay.
We actually have to, they check and make sure we budget exactly what they tell us.
Okay, because I, for the first time ever, as a resident of New Jersey, have seen a lot of local people that are asking about charter schools and are looking to send their children to charter schools in Red Bank and other surrounding areas. So I'm wondering if you could give us the projected numbers that we have, like the students in Middletown going to charter schools versus the actual, our out-of-district numbers, and the number of students that we had scheduled, like that were coming to Middletown that are now leaving. Because I have, with all of the things that have been happening, there's a lot of unrest and a lot of loss of trust. And I think that's really important for us as board members to see and understand, because it is our job to ensure the public's trust in how we are leading this district. And I think this could be a symptom of what's happening in the town that we really need to be aware of as the decisions are made by board members to do what we're doing. So
I can share what's been budgeted. I don't have it in front of me.
Right.
Don't hold me to this.
Well,
I
I'm
believe
saying,
it was approximately.
even, you don't have to give me the
9
numbers now, like, could this be something that you report to us or include in Tuesday's meeting? For the voting meeting, that we can have this information?
I can certainly bring what we were told, the amount of students that we have and what the tuition is currently. I can't tell you if somebody's going to make a decision next year to
Right.
enroll.
Well, I think that would be important for us to see, like, last year, what it was, and then next year, what it is.
Okay.
To see the discrepancy.
There
And if
has
there is
been,
one.
there was an increase even for this year versus the year before. Like I said, I think
I'm
we're
sure there
up to
was.
about
So
9 students.
That would be great. Can we do 2 years? Because then it would be last year, because honestly, that's when all of this unrest really started. And how many kids, K to 12, left the district to go private, to go homeschool, to go charter, to go wherever they're going because they're making decisions for their children's future based on what we're doing.
Right, so you want more than the charter school information.
I was starting with charter schools, but I think that might be important now that you mentioned it, to bring all of that in. How many kids that we lost? Yeah.
I mean, we might be able, I'm just thinking out loud, I'll have to check with the people who handle enrollment, but I don't know that we always know why they've left, whether they've moved or.
Well, we could, but I think that's why I was looking specifically at charter schools to start, right?
So that's easy. I
Okay.
can do that.
And then maybe we could look at the out-of-district numbers in the last 2 years.
Out of the,
Meaning, moving, how does that work? Do we find out about private, people that have left? Yeah. Lost in numbers.
right, I just don't know that we'd be able to know all the reasons.
Because you'd have to see what records are transferred, and it'd be a little
Yeah,
intense.
I mean, again, I'll have to talk to the enrollment department
Sure.
and see what can be pulled together.
Whatever they can tell us. And because usually when you leave a district, they say, where are you going? Where are you sending the records, right? So you could say, you would know if they were,
We will look and see what we can get.
thank you.
But on the flip side, I mean, we also have students that move into the district as well.
I know.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Personnel, Mr. not here. Student services, Mrs. Torkins.
Sorry, I lost it in all of my other papers. Last night, we met for special services. April is Autism Acceptance Month. It has changed from Awareness Month to Acceptance because it's not really enough to just be aware, it's the accepting. It also follows the Developmental Disabilities Awareness Week, where Middletown schools implemented themed initiatives and educational experiences, including read-alouds, essays, and different activities at our schools, with reinforcing the ongoing commitment to acceptance and inclusive practices. And it has definitely grown in the last year, so we're looking forward to how it's going to continue to grow. We discussed the special class programs planning proposals. That work is ongoing. The autism programs at this point are, I don't want to say set in stone, but where they are scheduled to be. K-2 is going to be at Nut Swamp as well as Bayshore Elementary. 3 to 5 will be at Nut Swamp as well as Bayshore Elementary for the autism program. That program will continue through South for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9 through 12 at South. So Thompson in the South and South High School. The LLD program, K-2 at Bayshore, K-2 at Bayview, and K-2 at Village. 3 to 5 at Bayshore, 3 to 5 at Bayview, 3 to 5 at Village. 6 through 8 at Thompson, as well as 6 through 8 at Thorne, sorry. So both middle schools will have an LLD program, and both high schools will have an LLD program. The planning is underway for extended school year at Harmony and Thorne. Though the busing and everything is scheduled and is going out in the next week to continue the instruction beyond the regular school year, to maintain the skills and continue the progress for IEP goals. As far as the Lincroft Annex, the ribbon cutting ceremony is set for August, Friday, August 28th. That is where the transition program will be. It's structured, supportive, and it's a pathway for young adults to transition to the community through hands-on training, community integration, and individualized support systems. The kitchen is ready, and most of the furniture is there. It has to be put together, but it is there. And after that is done, then they will bring the students over to visit, but they don't want to do that until the space is set. We talked about the marking period progress reports for IEPs. Those are also through Genesis, so that it's one easy place to see all of these things. That will help the communication between families and school, and really ensure that, you know, Genesis is where you can get all of the information for your child's update progress. The unified kickball game is set, but there are 2 tentative dates. It's either going to be May 13th or 14th. The letters have been distributed, the practice schedule is out, and the game is going to be against Brick Memorial. So that will be a really fun day if anybody can make it down to Brick Memorial. Once they have set the date, they will send those details for us to share as well. There was a settlement agreement we discussed, and we talked about the guiding principles of special education. The committee is highlighting focus this year to include continuing to strengthen our commitment to inclusive education, continuing to reinforce a culture of acceptance and belonging, maximizing the instructional benefits of co-teaching in our classrooms, focusing on specialized instruction, maintaining high expectations, and emphasizing the benefits of strong communication between home and school partners. We did talk about a number of programs and things that we're looking to expand on to make sure that we can keep our students in district safe and in the learning environment that they deserve to get in our schools and that they have been getting. So it was a good meeting and a lot of good information and ideas shared.
I just have a question on the annex. I know a few months ago I asked to make sure that before the students went in there that we did air quality testing. Is that still on the schedule?
Yes, we'll coordinate that with the students coming, before the students come.
Right, and we have to get like a C of O to use that building.
Yes, I actually need to get an update of where we stand with all of the township permitting and so forth, but
Okay, I just want to make sure.
report back to facilities on that next month.
Yeah, I just want to make sure about the air quality.
That's it, Ms. Torres?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Alphone's not here. We'll talk about the board goals under all of this. So, review the draft voting agenda. Anybody have any questions on it?
Yeah, I just want to make, why don't we extend, my thought is to extend the public comment until everybody speaks and just get it over with now rather than going back and forth at the meeting making motions about it. Just adjust it now and open up public comment.
I believe there is legislation coming down the pipe that's going to enforce that.
What was that?
Oh, I said I think that we should just adjust where it says 30 minutes for public comment on all these. Just take that off of there so that we don't have to spend another 10 minutes going through a motion to extend it at the next meeting.
I believe that 30 minutes is tied to, maybe tied to the policies. I'll just check.
It is.
It's tied to the policy, so yeah, I don't think we can start.
We have to make
Policy
it.
committee.
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything about changing policy.
We'll just have to make, okay, that's fine. All right, that's
It can be
fine.
done by motion.
No problem.
If the majority wants to extend it, we can.
That's fine.
I think the only thing that was in there was that it was 3 minutes. I don't think there's a 30-minute. Just 30 minutes per comment, or 3 minutes per comment. I think the 30 minutes was something
Okay,
we put on there.
all right, we'll check on it. If it
Thanks.
hasn't, we'll make those adjustments.
Yeah.
It says that there shouldn't be that. So we'll check on
It didn't look like there was any limit in the time on the budget public comment, though. That was, looked like it was open.
No, I mean, it's a public hearing
Yeah.
just on the budget.
that. Any old business?
Well, I don't know if this is old business, but going back to the discussion the board's been having about the budget, before we get to next week and we're presenting the final budget, if you do want to have changes made to, and as we've always talked about, the board, we're allowed to make changes between the tentative and the final budget. If there's things that you want to add into the budget, it would be very helpful for me to know that, get a consensus from you now so I can reflect that in the final budget, because that would also have to be part of the resolution that goes on the agenda for the budget. We would have to just itemize what we're changing between the tentative and the final. So if we were going to add anything that you've been discussing, it'd be easier for me to do that, or
I don't know
better
that
for
we
me to.
can, because it's a non-action
Non-action.
meeting.
No, but I mean, I can get,
So
you're
what's
not
the
going to vote
mechanism?
on it, but if you give me a consensus that that's the direction that the board is going.
Yeah.
I would like to add that on the bathroom.
I mean, the way it would work is I would adjust, what we're presenting. The board still has to vote on the budget, so, that's the final say. But if that's where everybody's, if that's what the majority of the board wants to see in the presentation, then it would be better for me to know that.
So is
going into the-
it my,
Make a wish list.
sorry, is that my understanding? So in the facilities meeting, I had written that we needed to bring up the bathrooms, the playgrounds for Bayshore and New Monmouth, and change the preliminary plan that was put in for Bayshore.
Well, we're not doing any, there's not going to be anything on the agenda for the floor plan of the building.
No,
But if you
what
want
I'm
to
saying
add
is-
items to the budget.
What we wanted to, the committee recommendation that we were talking about, that we were going to bring to the full board, right? Yes, was that that we wanted to put in the budget that the kindergarten rooms had bathrooms, that the preliminary plan that was presented with the layout of the spaces that we talked, or that you could talk to the administration to change them, to put all the kindergartens together, so that, because it wasn't set in stone, this was just
Yeah, we were told this is just a piece of paper with
the proposal,
spots on it.
and that our request was that the kindergartens be put together to make it more of the unified thing. So I guess that's what we're bringing up now, plus the playgrounds, that New Monmouth, whatever needs to be finished and upgraded, that you can have Mr. Nasser meet with them to figure out what they need, as well as the new Bayshore playground, that it's closer to the building, that it has all of the things that are needed, that it has capacity, and I would actually recommend that we go beyond the capacity of what's going to be there, because there's so much empty space in Bayshore that it seems like there's going to be more kids coming there in the future.
The
There's
building is half full.
Not even.
These kids in there, so you can't tell me the plan is not to move another school into there. There's no way we're gonna be sitting here telling this community we're running a school that's almost half empty. There's no way.
And the other
So why
part.
don't we just be honest and upfront? I don't even know what the next school is.
So that part with the playground, to make sure that all of that is in there, that it is large enough to not just house the kids that are scheduled to be there now, but the kids that are probably going to be there in the future. And money for the actual move, the painting, the redoing of the building to make it elementary. Yeah, like, and also to pay the staff to be able to come in the summer and set up the schools.
Well, Mrs. Torres, too, you also were talking about in student services whether or not there was need for fencing too, correct?
Correct, and for the playground currently, but what we were talking about in the budget meeting was that if we put this in the budget, and that it is possible to get it done over the summer, so we wouldn't need that fencing to worry about kids
And-
eloping on their way to the playground that is 498 feet away.
And we wouldn't need waivers either, and that's one of the arguments I made. If we're going to call this the elementary school of the future, it shouldn't require a waiver.
So that's the recommendation of the committee, so I guess I'm throwing it out there to the other board members to comment and see what you say, to see if we're on the same page and what your thoughts are.
I was there that night and I agreed with everything that Mrs. Torres just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're not voting on it, but if you're looking for direction, I would say that that should be included in the final budget.
You have the list?
What's that?
Do you have the list with the rest?
Well, I mean, the projects we would be adding would be kindergarten bathrooms and the playgrounds.
And I also think there should be money in there for the north baseball field. Because it's going to be a safety issue.
And the money,
Well, I just would say, you know, again, if we don't, you know, some of these things that we don't have a cost on, we can certainly look at, but that is why we're reestablishing a maintenance reserve, so we can utilize that money to do things that may not be
Right, but
budgeted.
you're
for the
asking
board.
us for our consent.
No, I am.
We're just like
I'm
Yeah,
saying-
and at this point now, they're just giving you like a wish list of, you know,
Yeah,
there's
I
other
mean-
buildings that we need to address too. So,
My real wish would be that we put this whole plan off till next year until we have a real plan.
and speaking on that, I know that in the last meeting, it was discussed that we can't put it off because that is forcing a future board to carry out something that we decided. Yeah.
that's what the attorney said, or somebody said.
That's what someone said. I would like to make it known, I spoke with New Jersey school boards as well as Mr. Burns, and that is not true. So if we as a board did have a conversation about all of these things that we are concerned about not getting done, we can amend a resolution. And by amending, you would have to vote to get rid of it and redo the resolution with the new numbers of 2627 instead of 2728 instead of 2627, and that resolution could go through and we could take the year to get all of these issues worked out. So in this workshop, I am asking whomever would like to, please have this conversation because I don't see how we are setting up the administrators for failure.
Yeah.
And by in turn, the administrators, we're setting up our children for failure, we're setting up our teachers for failure, and I am really concerned that this long-term effect of this rash decision is going to put such detriment in this town, in this school system. It's going to take so long to recover in a time when we are barely able to hang on to what we have. And I hope that we can have an open discussion and conversation because I don't know, and I have not yet heard from anyone about why this is so immediate and happening now. If we have a balanced budget and we have the time, we have a way that we can go forward with a new leader and a new superintendent and really do this the right way. So in the workshop, I'm asking, can we talk about it?
Yeah, we could talk about it,
So-
but if you're gonna make a motion, it would have to be.
I don't-
done
I'm not
within-
making a motion.
No, I
I'm not.
understand, but the time to make the motion for a new resolution would be at the voting
But
meeting
this
next
is,
week.
okay, so this is what I tried to have
So,
discussion
and the
about.
majority of the board already voted on that issue twice. So, and the full board's not here tonight. But yes, we can
But,
discuss it.
but I was cut off last time, so I didn't get to actually have that conversation. So I'm asking if you are, or Ms. Weinstein, or Ms. Galassi, anybody, because we don't have the full board here, but how can we have this conversation? We're all here, this is the workshop, this is the part we're supposed to talk. We've been giving our concerns, and I would love to hear why this resolution has to go through now.
That was what the board decided.
I think we're part of it.
But I'm,
So why did you vote that way in that position?
You stated yours. You may not agree with it, but that was my position.
Right.
My opinion. I'm one of 9. 5 people voted for it in favor of it.
So I guess my question is, how can we then figure out, with all of these concerns, how can we as a board come up with a consensus and figure out how we can be the leaders to direct this administration forward so that it can be successful?
And we're asking.
I'm really, like, I'm legitimately asking here. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. I would love to hear more information because I'm not getting it.
We're voting on a budget next week that we have so many unknowns in. How can we really vote on this budget? I mean, you're comfortable that the transportation isn't gonna go up? You're comfortable that we have enough money to make the renovations? You're comfortable we have enough money for everything that we need to
Joan,
do?
the budget was approved by the county superintendent.
No, it wasn't.
We're up to,
The budget was.
Yes, it was.
The budget? Okay, but not all these changes?
I'm saying, but our budget was approved, but a lot of the information isn't even included in there. It's not. We're sitting here talking about all these things you're asking us, do we want to put in the budget? You know, why isn't it in there already?
that's a question for the administration.
I'm sorry, I have a hard time believing transportation is going to be a 0 increase, or even close to it, even though I know that's not what you said, but.
And, you know, I will say, at least on the facility side, we had gone over the items that were in the facilities budget for each facilities meeting since January. So if, again, everybody was aware, we presented it, the projects and the equipment purchases that were in the budget were clearly presented. And we're having a discussion today whether you want to add anything specifically in those areas. And if you do, we can certainly amend the tentative budget. But that's going to have to be approved by the board next week.
It's really sad that we put our time in. We met with Dr. Alphone because she said if anybody would like to meet about the budget issues. And when we met, our ideas were great, but not one of them is incorporated in this budget. Our ideas were great, helpful, very possible to be done, but not one of them is in this
I
budget.
mean, I had made a suggestion to Dr. Alphone, of which I think the other people in the room would say she agreed with me, that with reduction of 3 schools, we should also look at reducing central administration. We should reduce 1 assistant superintendent.
Well, personnel decisions are the recommendation of the superintendent.
But this is how I
We're shrinking the district, everything needs to shrink.
I feel that this budget is based highly on adults and not kids. We're afraid to make decisions about adults because we're changing leadership, but we're not afraid to make decisions about kids because we're changing leadership.
I guess while we're on it, I have a question for, I'm so sorry, I forget your name. Yes?
DG.
Hi, DG, I'm sorry. So the board's job is to set policy, correct? The board's job is to, that's part of our job, is to set policy so that the administration can then enforce policy, right? Follow
I'm not going
policy.
to answer this step by step, so you seem to have a question that you want to ask.
Sure. So if the board's job is to then set policy, and the administration's job is to follow those policies and implement the day-to-day of the district, when the board then sends something that is against the policies, whose responsibility is it? Is it the administration, is it the lawyer, or is it the board to ensure that those policies are faithfully followed through?
Lawyers don't like answering hypothetical questions.
Okay. It's not a hypothetical.
Please use your microphone.
What's that?
You can't use your microphone. Use the mic, yeah.
I just said in response to Ms. Torres's question that lawyers in general don't like answering hypothetical questions, and this seems like a hypothetical question. So when you have all these conditions, I don't think I'm the best person to answer that question tonight.
I appreciate that. I'll continue to ask. My problem is, we continue to ask, we continue to bring things up, and it's radio silence. I'm not getting any information, I'm not getting any rationale, and it is incredibly frustrating to sit here and think that anyone trusts what we're doing on this board when I get no response.
I don't know about you, Aaron, but I know the letter that you and I wrote, I haven't gotten any responses.
We're apparently supposed to have a meeting with Mr. Evita, Mr. Burns, you and me, at some point. Hopefully.
After the budget?
No, I'm hoping before Tuesday. I asked for it before Tuesday.
Joan, what was the letter in regards to this?
Joan and I wrote a memo to Mr. Evita and included it. May I? I can forward it to you if you like. We submitted a formal complaint regarding the policy violations and safety concerns in Middletown for the consolidation plan. There are 6 different pieces, and it has to do with the long-range facilities plan, the school closure policy, the resolution, and how those things are very conflicting. I can forward it to you.
Okay, thank you.
And did we violate
That's
our
not a
policy?
hypothetical question, Aaron. You can pose it.
Hopefully on Tuesday, if I don't get an answer, I will be reading it again for the public. But I'm doing my part to try to follow through with policy and procedure as listed by the Ethics and School Board. Rule following teachers.
Any other old business? I have something for new business. I know a couple people asked about setting board goals. I was able to have a conversation with Tim T and our rep. So he was going to send me a link for the board to do a self-evaluation because there was no board goals that I'm aware of last year. We'll be starting.
There haven't been board goals for 5 years.
Okay, I'm here since
It's a
January.
very important part of strategic planning and going forward with the closure of the school.
So I'll send the link and then we'll have to come up with a deadline of when that'll be due for everybody to complete it. And then after that point, Mr. T will aggregate the results and he'll come in, we can schedule a board workshop to discuss the results, and he would help us develop 3 to 5 goals and an action plan to achieve the goals, and then a timeline to report out to the public. So if everybody on the board is okay with that, I'll be happy to share the link with the board. I'll put a date in. He did put out some tentative dates when he's available to come in with the board, and we would have to just notice another meeting and do this separately. But so there's June dates of 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
What time of day is this?
We would do it probably a similar time, 7 o'clock meeting. Yeah, I'll send out the dates.
Yeah, you can't bring it.
June 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Those are the dates that Mr. Tian is available. And I'll send these dates to everybody in an email. But if we come up with a date, we can schedule a meeting on that and then go over the results and set the goals, and then 3 to 5 goals, and then a timeline, an action plan to achieve them, and then reporting out to the public. And then move forward with it from that point. So we'll get them set. It would be a good start.
I have a new business item, if you're all set.
Yes, if anybody has any questions on that?
Not on that, no.
Okay.
So you might recall from, I believe it was January or February, we started talking about a wellness committee due to community member outreach. We discovered that this wellness committee is something that we were supposed to be doing for quite some time now, but it kind of got dropped during COVID, so we're reinitiating that. Just to give you an idea, it's not like a standard board committee. This is something that's set to engage parents. I'm just reading this right off the document. Engage parents, students, and representatives of the school food authority, members of the school board, administrators, teachers, health professionals, and members of the public for purpose of developing, implementing, monitoring, reviewing, and as necessary, revising the school nutrition and physical activity initiatives. A committee may be convened to annually review and when necessary recommend revisions to school policies related to wellness and nutrition. This is something we're looking to revive. It's a committee I'm looking to be a part of. I don't know, we wanted to kind of put it out to the board tonight if anyone was interested as well in joining, and then Amy would take that back to the administration, get a few members from there.
I would like to.
Okay, and then put it out to the community to see who else would like to be involved. We already have one volunteer from an email earlier this year, so we could kind of work together. I know there's been a lot of changes, obviously, since pre-COVID, as to, healthy nutrition standards, studies on activity that we should probably be taking into account when it comes to all of the guidelines for our schools. So, Joan, Deb,
Is this something that would be during the day or in the evening?
it's really, honestly, it's not like a regular committee, so I think we can work it around
Okay.
whoever's involved. We don't have any set schedule.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yeah? Okay.
You just
I
have to
will,
watch our email.
the timing is tough.
Yeah, and I don't think it's something where you have to participate every single time, right? It's not a regular committee, it's just that there'll probably be a lot of different members there, but it's just something that we want to kind of make sure that we're keeping up to date with, standards.
We had Sarah, Joan, Erin, and Catherine.
One other thing, I just wanted to acknowledge the change.org petition, the Reduce Ed Tech in Middletown petition that's been going around. It's just something I know that, as board members, we're not really supposed to be signing petitions. I actually asked for legal counsel on that, but it is something that was brought back in our curriculum committee. Our district is, as we had mentioned earlier in the committee report, really evaluating the role in technology and education, and I think that we are working to be forward-thinking in that. So we appreciate that opinion, and it is something that we want you to know we have seen and heard, and is always being discussed internally with the administration so that they can set policy moving forward. And I just want, are you going to talk about WoodSense?
Am I going to talk
The
about?
WoodSense survey?
If you want to mention it,
I think so.
I was going to.
In case, okay. So really quickly, also another thing that kind of rolls up to wellness. We put out a WoodSense survey. Our Amy did earlier today, this afternoon. So if it's something you're interested in participating about food service, if you could please fill that out, just so we could get a better idea of what people are thinking as far as food service goes in the town. We'd appreciate it. And if you could kind of share that with anybody else that might be interested, in case they might have missed the email, that would be great.
And if you can't find the email, it's also on the website.
I wanted to talk about that email and the survey. I think it's good they're doing the survey, and they do it every year. But I also think that it's important that before we start jumping to make changes, because we are all parental rights, that we hear what the parents have to say that utilize the food service, because they might not have the same opinion as my friends or your friends or your friends, and they might not want to see all those changes in here. We're making changes because we have a few people that want to do it. I think change is good. I think it's important, but I also think we need to pay attention to the survey and make sure that the parents that are utilizing the food service program are being heard. And I do agree that we should find out from people what it would take to get them to join it. But I don't think we should be making our changes based on that, because there's no guarantee they're going to join it. I think it's important that we listen to the parents, because everybody has a right to what their kids are eating and what they're not. I think we're doing a good job providing the healthy foods, following the guidelines. And yes, there's always room for change, but I don't think we should be making it on our personal opinions. I think we should be collectively getting that information from all the parents in the district.
Any other new business?
I have new business, yes. Can we discuss the superintendent search in public, what we're allowed to discuss?
Yes, just not
Yeah, whatever is legally.
nothing that was discussed in executive.
Yeah, anything that's legally available to discuss so the public knows where we stand right now, because there's so many people asking. Who's going to do it?
Oh, I thought you were going to talk.
Everybody.
So the update is, yes, we will be looking to retain the services of a New Jersey school boards to do our search for us. So we expect to get that kicked off, vote to approve hiring them so we can get a PO issued to them at the next board meeting on the 28th, and then we'll start that process.
And we could say school boards takes pretty much full control.
Yes, the candidates and the vetting.
Mhm.
And there's also the component in there that they'll help with the strategic plan.
Right.
That brought up.
Yeah, if you go with that higher level,
Yeah.
which I actually think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was agreed upon, so.
Because it needs to be done. Other new business, on the 30th and the 1st is Bay Shore's play. Everybody else's plays have pretty much been done. The elementary schools are doing them. I know Leonardo's having one here next week. That's why we're moving over to Thompson. That's the only reason we're moving over to Thompson right now, because there's so many rumors out there why. It's just because the kids book this room and they have a right to have practice. Prom season's coming up, so that's exciting. You know, I'm running into a lot of high school kids. They're all talking about it. I hope they have a really safe prom season. We have a lot of programs that we provide for our kids in the district on safe proms, so you know, we're really proud of what we do for that. And a lot of end of the year activities, so pay attention to your local schools and get involved because it's exciting to see what the kids do at the end of the year. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anything else for new business? Okay, at this time I'd like to open up the microphone, public comment. Please remember to state your name. Should be it.
Hi, my name is Logan Deleski and I go to Bayshore Middle School. I would go to Thorne Middle School. At Bayshore, we have academic opportunity, so at Thorne and Thompson, will they have enough staff for these electives? At Thorne and Thompson, where will we eat lunch? Because my friends and family at these schools say there's no room right now. So if more kids are coming, where will we eat lunch? I suggest is for all the kids going to Thorne and Thompson should have an open house on the same day so the Board of Education can properly prepare for the huge increase of students at these schools.
Thank you.
Hi, Europe Safety, Ashar Drive, Middletown. The first point I want to get across is that this relates back to my prior profession, but I really think the board needs to direct the administration to have a dedicated project manager. This is a huge undertaking, and to rely that everybody, you know, at each school is going to execute everything. I'm looking over at the team over there. Maybe since Mr. Ranella isn't here, he and his staff can take over project management, but I think there needs to be somebody that holds everybody accountable and tracks the deliverables and make sure that everything is done. Also, on the conversations about Homo and New Monmouth, I'm just surprised that we're going through this and we're not looking at redistricting these wacky pockets that we have, where we have students that can walk to certain schools that are being bused across highways and around corners. I mean, I have people that have called me and said, what do I do? I can see the school from my backyard, but they're making me go somewhere else. And I believe the administration is then forced to reject them because there's a certain zoning. So I just think, particularly, I mean, even Village has weird redistricting. And speaking of Village, back in my day, 90% of Village used to go to South and we paid for no busing. Under this new deal, we'll be paying for all the busing. So that's a significant change. High school, I might have missed it, but I haven't seen how the numbers fall out overall for high school. Do we have anything on that now that we're changing Fairview and other things like going to South? the MD, the multiply disabled programs, are they still going to High School South, or are they going to follow their peers from Thorne to North? I don't know if any of that's been discussed.
They're following, which is,
I'm sorry?
I think they're following.
What school are you referring to? I couldn't hear you. The multiply disabled class is now at South, but they come out of Thorne, so they don't follow with their neurotypical peers. Is that changing?
Did you want me to hear about those things?
We talked about it, but it's not on the thing.
Anyways,
In my-
it's just, I don't know,
can
yeah.
we talked about it in committee. Bayview and Thorne, and it could shift to the south side. So, TBD, they're still working on it, which is why I think it's not on the minutes.
Okay. Class 3 officers, I assume we're looking at what other districts are doing because it's over the top what we do. And I think the town needs to step up. We pay about $70,000 conservatively for each officer. If I do basic math on what we pay, there's got to be a better way. Disability Awareness Week, wonderful things happening in the district. I wish certain schools could be held to the same standard. I don't know why we allow certain schools to just ignore it. Lunch lounge, after many months, there's a lunch lounge set up at South. I appreciate the efforts. It's actually so popular that my daughter can't go to it because it's too loud for her, but I'm happy that other kids have it. So it shouldn't have taken that long, but I really appreciate getting that done. Young man, my son was at Thompson when they had the ancillary cafeteria. They called it Cafe B, and they went on a rotation schedule. And he said he actually enjoyed those times because he was with different friends. And it was quieter, and the teacher that was in there monitoring, they had more fun. So there's a way to do it.
Hi, my name's Samantha D'Alessio. I'm from the Belfort area. And my children go to Bayview and Bayshore, so directly impacted by the school closures. There's still so many unknowns. And long-term, obviously, as towns change, schools need to change, you need to keep up with it. I think everyone in the town agrees with that. But there is no plan. There's still so many unknowns, and that's what's giving the concern. So some of the people on this board were clearly voted with an intent. I think a lot of us thought that the intent was for our students, but obviously there's more taxes and financial things at play and political affiliations outside of this experience that have landed some of you in the seats that you're sitting in with massive donations that other people have not entertained. It's wild. So you come into these seats and it's understandable that people have concerns as to why to trust you and where your loyalties actually lie. When Navasink is sold, the trust, where does that go to? What are the details there? Are there side deals where people benefit and are utilizing positions for personal benefit? That's a concern. You have two schools where you don't stand to benefit financially to put money back into the budget when you close them, or there's other schools in the district that require a lot more work, and you would make money if you sold those buildings. So perhaps there's a reason why, but I think you want to know what that reason is. You just want to know what those answers are. Thank you for bringing up the replacement for Dr. Alphone. I think that that's a really big concern for a lot of people. Some people may also not have known the way that the procedure works with the Board of Ed and the superintendent. She's clearly the most high-paid individual within the Board of Ed, so it's understandable that she should earn her keep, and her position should be responsible for creating this transition. However, she's out the door. So would it not make sense to first find the replacement and allow them to craft this transition and then execute on this transition? We're rushing into something that impacts students for their future in this town. And for what purpose? Because it doesn't seem like your P&L is balanced to understand that you're actually going to come ahead in this transition. With so many unknowns in your budget, what happens when you still don't close the gap and you still don't have enough money? What is the plan then? We just continue nixing off schools until magically it happens? I mean, there's AI programs, like put the numbers in, create the spreadsheets, create the reports. If you're not capable of doing this, then maybe people should step down and allow people to come into office that want to do this work for the students of this town. I hope we get together by now until next Tuesday. Ultimately, I would hope that this is something every member of this board is working on. And obviously the superintendent. So good luck. Hopefully you guys find out more information on the rehiring process and you guys can figure out a plan that actually shepherds in a good future for the town. It's just crazy that there is no plan. And you've allowed it to become this like more taxes, more money versus schools when that's not the case. There's clearly mismanaged budgets across the board. And there's figures about a $600,000 pay bid for feeding a cafeteria. Like this, there's certain crazy numbers. Please do your job.
Hey guys, Daniel Jewell, Atlantic Highlands. Before I go into some sort of cynical rant, apologies in advance. Did I hear before that we actually have a balanced budget if schools remain open for this year? So we do. So there's no more like existing deficit that's really high as a percentage of, I guess, I'll just go on the assumption that we do still have a deficit of 440,000, I think it was, that we determined last time after the increase in state aid and the increase in tax levy that was unanimously approved for unknown reasons. So the class, if I can then kind of say the quiet part that Mark was getting at out loud, the Class 3 officers cost us, as far as I understand it, $1.8 million a year. The deficit as it remains is $440,000. Mayor Perry last April publicly stated that he would split that cost with us. So it's a little glaring that the Shared Services Committee got pushed out until after we vote on this budget, when the solution to the budget deficit would probably be approved in that Shared Services Committee. In the absence of any sort of arguments for the plan to go forward, I mean, we just are free to sort of make up these reasons, however cynical they may seem. The other thing I just wanted to ask is, I haven't seen a counterfactual, which is how much does closing the schools actually save? The presentation at the last meeting actually showed operating expenses increasing by $3.8 million from last year, or from this current school year to next projected school year. So I was just curious what we're actually saving by closing the schools. I know it's not a Q&A, so I'll just let the questions go on.
Hello, Ryan Merwin from Middletown. I've been watching the board meeting the last month, and I was disturbed of what's been going on. I do want to give credit to the people like on the left side of the board that at least are asking the tough questions. Yes. And I know it's difficult for everybody. But this town is divided right now, and I believe we need a long-term plan, because this plan is not going to cut it for everybody, and we're rushing this in too quickly. If we were going to close schools, this should have been done like a 4-year plan or something. But also, I have to discuss this, but with all due respect, I believe that that board members, Capone and Tobacco need to resign for all the mess they caused. I wish they were here to hear this, but they're not. But anyways, this town needs to heal. We need to reunite. We need to work this out. I know we will eventually, but this is a big mess. And that's all I got to say. Thank you. Good night. And good night.
Hi, Kristen Coons, Middletown. It's nice to see you all up here tonight. I guess maybe not really. I have a question, because a lot of questions that I ask out into the ether don't get answered. So my son is currently at Bayshore, 6th grade, going into 7th grade. How many students per classroom are you expecting with this move? And if you can't answer that, okay, who's the leader here? Let's talk about some leadership skills. I don't know. My father handed me a book when I graduated high school, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Part of it, I think it's pretty basic, was, you know, how to respect the people around you, how to get people involved, how to sort of sell your story, sell what is meaningful to you. And I have yet to see a meaningful ploy of how closing schools is going to make this town better. I know I've gotten involved in travel sports this year. Never would I thought I would do that, but I hear a lot of parents from other districts in New Jersey, and they look at Middletown, they're like, what the hell is going on over there? I was thinking of moving to Middletown, but hey, guess what? There's 1,000 other places with better schools. I'm not going there. I moved here for the schools. This was once an amazing school district. Can you say it is anymore? I mean, let's talk about how the board functions. Are you here because you believe in kids and your values and you want to make a difference in school, or are you here for political reasons? I just see politics being played, politics being pushed. Oh, I've got five people on my side to vote for this closures. Yet I can't present a plan to you all. I can't even answer your questions, like really reasonable, simple questions. Bathrooms, schools, teachers, busing, playgrounds. This isn't rocket science, right? I mean, I hear some members of the board asking these questions. I also don't hear them being answered. So, you know, I'd like to see some campaign promises come true. Like, let's get behind, what was your campaign again? Parents, teachers, not teachers, students, taxpayers first, whatever. Nonsense, like, these are wishy-washy statements that are just not coming to fruition. And, you know, I see integrity up here. I see people who care about kids. I see people who care about education, the future of society through education, but I don't see real leadership. I really don't. And I think you should question, like, who are you voting for? Who are you voting for that has real leadership, who has integrity, who can back up what they believe in with, data, facts, truth?
I'm really disappointed in you all, really. I'm disappointed in this town. I'm disappointed in your behavior. I'm disappointed in your leadership. And I think you owe it to the residents of this town to treat us with a little bit more respect. And, you know, give us something real.
Rustler, Middletown. I don't think I can say it quite. Sorry?
Can't hear you.
I don't think I can say it quite as well as that, but I'll do my best. Some very real problems with the plan, or should I say the lack of a plan to close 3 schools, have been raised by the students, by parents, by educators, by 4 members of the board. And there is a general concern that this is a poorly thought out and underprepared plan. And board members have rightly asked those members who voted to shutter the schools to explain their need to do this year, rather than to properly prepare a well-ordered, thought-out plan. These requests have been met with absolute radio silence. Nothing, nada. So to me, this tells us 2 things. First of all, that the 5 members do not wish to share their true motives for the hasty and shambolic rush to close the schools. And second of all, that these 5 members have absolute contempt for the community, that they don't even feel obligated to explain their votes when asked. This is nothing short of an insult. And let me add that for the 2 of the 5 of these members who voted to shutter the schools, to blow off the meeting at a crucial time like this is just disgusting. And I might add their pet superintendent, the very highly paid Dr. Alphone, she's not here either. Shocking. Shame on you all. That's it.
Jen Greeley, Middletown. First, I'm going to answer Kristen's question since no one else could. I emailed administration last week asking about class sizes at Thorne. Right now, they have no idea because they don't have any staffing plan and courses are still being selected. So there's still no answer. We have no idea. I have countless things I could say up here about the negative impact to our students, to our teachers, and the absolute divide that you've created in this town between North and South. We heard countless times today all of the things that will continue to be removed from the North Side. Not once today did we hear about any negative impact, any reduction, anything happening on the South Side, and I think that has been on display over and over. But the point I want to make clear is this is now my 3rd time up here talking about IEPs. It may shock you that I have still not received an IEP meeting for my son. That was requested 7 weeks ago. There have been no IEP answers to my questions. I asked very specific questions. There have been no answers. He does have his annual IEP meeting coming up. That is not the time or place to be answering facilities questions, to be answering questions about what a new building may look for him. My understanding of an annual IEP is to talk about all of the goals he has met this year, all of the goals he has not met this year, and all the goals we want him to continue to meet. It is astounding to me that everyone can sit in this room and fail a 7-year-old boy who is deaf and cannot meet their basic expectations. My son, like I said last time, has an easy IEP. There are countless parents here, countless students in our district who are waiting on all of you to reach out about how the school closures will impact this IEP. If you cannot answer a simple question like, have the acoustics in every classroom my child will be in tested, that's a yes or no answer. If that can't be answered, how on earth are you meeting the expectation of every single IEP and 504 student in this district? And how will all of these IEPs be transitioned and executed properly? My guess, based on your answer tonight, is it will fall to our incredible educators, our incredible support staff, our incredible principals, who will have to figure out in their 3 PD days before school starts how to magically execute an IEP without any assistance from the rest of you. Thank you.
Comments, which were probably very similar to what those in the audience are going to say, what Erin voiced, the questions that still remain, so I'm going to pivot. Ms. Weinstein, I heard you mention that we are starting a new committee, a wellness committee with input from the community. We're having a food service survey, we're having, you've noticed the increased discussion about limited screen time. These are all things that are near and dear to my heart. I talk about them forever. And so I hope you just take that same mindset and apply it to the overall discussion we're having about finance, the budget, the unanswered questions about IEPs, and the unanswered questions about capacity. I feel like you have the potential, you're already seeking out community input on these new initiatives when we have open initiatives that still don't have answers. So
turning my questions to you. I hope we can work together, you can start digging in, and you can start speaking up at these meetings, because it would be nice to hear from others besides Erin, Mark, and Joe, who have been supporting us in depth. Thank you.
Jennifer Johnson, Atlantic Highlands. I have a daughter in 6th grade at Bayshore, and I work in the mental health field, and I see our students. I have clients who are in the middle and elementary and high schools, and I just want to remind you that as the process is occurring and you're looking at the facilities and the sink heights and the stairs in the schools, when that happens during school time, these little kids who are running around, you might think they're not paying attention, but the kids are hearing and seeing, and it is stressing them out. They're worried, they're scared, they don't know what's going to happen. They hear talk about charter schools. Is my best friend going to go to charter school? Am I going to have lunch in a different classroom than my friends that I have lunch with? And that's not even taking into account kids that might have special needs or need a special place to eat, and kids have needs, and they are receptive and responsive, and they might not be able to say, I'm sad and uncertain and frustrated. They're going to be angry or yelling or getting into fights at home with their parents or their siblings. They won't sleep well. They won't be able to get their homework done. They won't do well on NJSLA testing, for crying out loud. And because their worlds are being shattered by adults that can't touch down with what it might feel like to be a kid whose school is being ripped out from under them. For no apparent reason, for it to be done so quickly. And like the elementary schools where kids can walk to school, that's the heart of a community. That's where a love of learning starts. Right, when the kids are walking their little kindergartner to school for the first time, and then they get older, and then they walk with their friends, and then they grow and develop the opportunity to now go to a middle school together with those same kids. Or they can walk their sibling now, their kindergarten sibling, and they're in 4th grade. And like, this is how people grow and evolve. This is how we develop human skills of interaction and thinking and support each other. Not just in families, but in communities, right? If family values is an important thing, well, don't pull the rug out from under them. Or at least don't do it without a plan. It sounds like there's a goal, right? There's a goal. But the plan to get to that goal is nowhere to be found. We don't know how we're going to pay for it. And until we have those answers, keep the goal as a goal. It's great to have goals. But let's figure out the right way to get there without ripping the heart out of our communities.
Mr. Vita, is it okay for me to say one thing really quick? I know it's public comment, but I wanted to, it jogged my memory when you were saying something. The other thing that we really need to realize when we're talking about this particular group of kids, the current 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade, the start of their school lives was COVID. And those children didn't get to be in the classroom, and all of that was up in people. And for the first time, they had some consistency, and we need to remember that we are the adults that is pulling that consistency away from them when we don't. And I think that I'm very much of the, we need to move past COVID, we need to do all of it, but I know that there's a lot of people on this board that became very involved as parents and community members because of what happened during COVID. And I think it's important to recognize that those are the very children that are being the most impacted by this decision.
Thank you for letting me say that.
Yep, thank you.
I also think we have to remember that we are not addressing the issue in the school that is overcrowded at all. We're addressing this issue. We are not addressing Wincroft where they have 100% capacity already. And with the new building going on, we'll probably have a lot more.
Scott McPherson, Middletown resident. Best interests of the children. Let me say that again. Best interest of the children. That's what we should be thinking about here when we're making decisions as a board. Best interest of the children. It sounds like what was being discussed tonight, the things that are not being done, the things that haven't been discussed, are not in the best interest of our children. Then why are we doing it? Doesn't make sense. Mr. Abita, there was never a vote to amend the resolution, the February resolution implementation date from 26/27 to 27/28, to give you time to do what was in the best interest of the children. There was a couple of votes, but there was no simple vote simply stating that. Simply stating, amend the February resolution implementation date from 26/27 to 27/28. And it should be brought up next week, and it should be voted on. That simple couple of sentences, couple of words, was never actually voted on. Think of the actual children. Think of the best interest of the children. Leonardo Grade School, it's a great community school. It's a school where next week they're going to be putting on a play. I don't know if you know this, but for many years, Leonardo Grade School, the teachers come together and they dedicate a ton of time and effort, and the parents come together and they dedicate a ton of time and effort, and they put on an actual play. And I'm here tonight to invite each and every board member to the play. And I think if you want to think about the best interest of the children and think about why you're actually doing this, you actually take me up on the offer. So these tickets are just for Thursday, but you come Wednesday night, come Thursday night, Wednesday, and Thursday night, right here in this auditorium, starting at 6 o'clock. The children that you should be thinking of, their best interests, are going to be here putting on a play for the community, for themselves. So, Mrs. Minuis, I'm going to hand you these tickets if you could hand them out to each board member. And I also want to extend the invitation to Mr. Capone, who's not here, and Mr. Backup, who's not here. I haven't seen them at any community events outside of maybe their children's own school events, or maybe the Thanksgiving Day games, but they're invited, and I would hope that they would come. If you're all thinking about the best interest of the children, you should come to this event.
Hi, Kristen Rooney, Middletown. I'm here tonight just to speak as a parent of a middle schooler. Listening to Jen, another middle school parent, I really, really would need to ask you again. You don't have approval to close schools yet. It's not come from anywhere. So if you could stop putting Thorne Middle School on my child's schedule for next year, so that when she goes into Genesis while she's in school at Bayshore, she has a panic attack and texts me from school, why does it say I'm going to Thorne next year? And I have to say to her, please don't worry about what that says, because she's living in my house. She knows that a lot of things haven't been done, so that you are not allowed to close schools yet. But not everyone's kids are in my house being told this all the time. A lot of people are assuming that this is a done deal because that's the message that you are very, very irresponsibly giving to the students, the parents, and the teachers, by the way. So, I know that there's another parent here who always says that Bayshore kids are kids too, and we've heard no plan for them as far as, anything. I mean, the 5th grade students had the principals of Thorne go and visit them, which, by the way, their parents were also caught off guard, so their kids are also very confused. So if you could just stop affecting our kids by a decision that 5 of you made that you have no approval to do. The vote that you all made started the process that 5 of you approve a school closure. The budget vote on Tuesday does not give you the approval to close a school. You cannot close a school unless you get approval. So please, please, I'm begging you to stop doing anything that is causing our middle schoolers, our 5th graders, or our children more stress than they already have, because middle school is already stressful. I can also tell you that groups of friends who are very close are fighting with each other. Why? Because some people are saying, my child is not going to that school, like, I'm sorry, and others are like, well, I'm sorry, I can't afford to send my kid anywhere else, so what are you trying to say? And that's just something that we shouldn't have to deal with our friends. My daughter also shouldn't have to cry because her 2 friends are visiting another school, because we have to make a plan for September, right? I understand everybody needs to plan for what they need to do, but this is causing problems amongst friends who are 12 years old, their parents who are fully grown adults, and know how to deal with our kids. So if you could stop doing things that are traumatizing our children unnecessarily, I would really, really beg for you to do that, because you have people in this district with expertise in mental health, and our students' mental health is not okay, and you are causing it. The emails coming from the administration, you don't need to write Thorn Middle School on things. That change is not a big deal. Also, I just want to point out that the first speaker went over by 58 seconds on public comment, and her microphone did not turn off. So it seems like when there's a comment that you don't like, you push the mute button, and we notice.
Middletown. I want to echo the mental health aspect of this. My boys are in 7th grade and are not okay. The kids in middle school at Bayshore are not okay. The kids at Thompson and Thorne are probably also not okay, not knowing what's coming. The staff in this district are not okay. Who is checking on them? Is anything being done to support that, or are we just planning on losing like half the staff because Brown is such crap, because nobody really cares about them? That's really disheartening. You guys aren't thinking this through. You're rushing it down our throats for political donations. It's horrific. Think about the mental health of these people. Think about the future of this district and whether you want it to be good, filled with staff that are gonna work their butts off like they do. The poor guidance counselor at Bayshore today. Like, them trying to clean up all this mess that you guys are putting them through, it's horrific. And they respond to emails immediately, like they're phenomenal. And more needs to be done for them. Please, thank you.
Kristen Mobley, Middletown. Amy, this is a question for you. You had told Joan that busing is not in facilities. Where does that fall?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
You said busing was not in Joan's facility?
Finance.
So it's in the finance? So who here is on the finance committee that can answer some questions about busing? Nobody?
I'm on finance.
Oh, maybe I could just, you could relay it back to the committee that's not here? When?
Well, it's not question and answer, this is public comment.
Okay, well, he can bring it back to the committee. You can answer if he wants to. He just doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. The busing for middle school, for Bayshore specifically, for track, it's not just one team, it's 2 teams, it's the girls and the boys. Does any other middle school in Middletown have issues with busing for their track program? We can't carry our whole team on one bus because the coach has to ask parents to help because they don't have enough busing. It's a safety issue. For the meet on Wednesday, they don't have a bus. So parents have to rely on trying to get them there. Does this happen at the other middle schools? Is this to foreshadow what's coming? And then for busing for to and from school, who vets the bus drivers? They don't know their left from their right. Our children are instructing them where to turn and they get lost in a different town, does that get pushed back to you? Our kids wound up in Rumson, New Jersey. The bus driver didn't know how to get back. Thank gosh our kids are intelligent enough to know left and right. Is anybody paying attention to busing? So when you say that you take budget money or don't estimate it properly, you're already failing today. How is it going to be in the future? No one has any idea what's to come. But I can tell you, based on today and what our children are going through right now in middle school and elementary school, it's horrific. I'm just echoing everybody else. You're not prepared. You have an opportunity to change your mind, do it next week, and do it before there's more fallout or lawsuits.
Anyone else for public comment? No, see no one else at the mic. Need a motion to adjourn the meeting? All in favor?
Good job. I look already.